Greetings, hello, welcome everyone. Hopefully my mic is working fine. I think it is. I see everything going, so yay, lights are green. Hi, I exist. I am not dead. Rumors of my demise are greatly exaggerated. Welcome everyone. If you are new here, my name is Brendan, and this channel, as you probably guessed, is Dev Chatter. And while the Dev Chatter is the name of the channel, it's also a community of people. We originally started as well, sort of both YouTube and Twitch and different things and various different bits. We've got other places where we talk as well. Over on a Discord, we've got our own server where we, on Mastodon, we've got a dev chatter instance there as well. So if you are in any way part of our community, whether you work on open source projects or hang out with us, awesome, welcome, thanks. Glad to have people here. I have a handful of people asking whether or not there's going to be a Twitch stream. Yes. So the question is, I'm planning on doing some Twitch and some YouTube streams going forward. I know I mentioned before that I wanted to try out YouTube a little bit, and I've got reasons for both. If I can get YouTube to be as nice as experience as Twitch is, then there's a good chance I would switch here just so I don't have the maintenance of having to transfer between the channels. Discoverability of old videos, as you probably know, is not good on Twitch. So I used to keep an archive and make sure that I had all my old stuff on Twitch. And for a while they would make it disappear, except you could highlight it, so I would like try to do that. But anyway, long story short, if I can get it so that everything is together here in one spot, that's ideal. If not, I will continue switching back and forth. I've always liked the community on Twitch a lot better. There's much more interactivity among the chat and the streamer there. So the question that of course just came up from Saduki is can you restream? And the answer is kinda, sorta, ish. So if you want to be able to stream to both, you cannot have any kind of partner agreement, affiliate agreement, or anything like that with either. And by having those agreements, Twitch says you have to be exclusive for some time period, right? So I can transfer my video to YouTube afterwards, but the content, they want it to be exclusive. And you go, okay, well, Brendan doesn't really care about the monetization. I don't. I don't make money off Twitch. I lose money on Twitch. But the problem is that I would then not get any of the cool benefits. I wouldn't have my emotes. I wouldn't have a whole bunch of other stuff that they only give you when you're an affiliate. And I love the emotes. If anything, I want to go over onto Twitch and add tons more emotes. I've been waiting for the artists that did our previous emotes to be available so that I can get more made, because I really want to get us a whole bunch more emotes. I think I can have like 20 over there now. And yes, emotes are important. It's fun. It's like, it's an enjoyable thing. And it's one of those, okay, yeah, people are like, what do you care about? It's like, I don't care about the monetization. I want the emotes. So the answer to the emotes on Twitch is I have to get monetized on YouTube for us to have the emotes here as well, which is the annoying part. So they both have it locked down that you need to be in one of those agreements. And so if I, stream a handful of times on YouTube, I might be able to get emotes here as well. And if I can get it to the point where they don't really care either way, like, I want emotes, right? I want to have our little dinosaur chat emotes here. So that's where we are. It would be nice to have them. I also want to be able to pick where we're streaming based on either what we're doing or who a guest is, or if there's any other reason for it. And in order to get that community, I have to get over a higher barrier on YouTube in order to get all the stuff that I want. So yeah. Yeah, that did come out a little bit weird. Okay, so I wasn't really sure what I wanted to stream, but I knew I wanted to stream at some point this week. And so sometime this week has become today, which fun part, we only missed our old schedule by like 15 minutes, so I only started a little bit late. Maybe more than 15 minutes. I don't remember. I think it was supposed to start at 2, but yeah, surprise stream. Hey, I kind of hinted at it in our Discord. So welcome everybody. Hopefully you're ready to have a little bit of fun. So I had a couple of projects I've been thinking about doing on the stream. One of them I thought about. I have been thinking about trying to tell people that WinForms isn't dead and they shouldn't think of it as dead, which is a hilarious statement to make. I'm not like a big proponent of WinForms or anything like that, but I have used it a handful of times, even in recent years. For example, I have done this both myself and for a client. Built system tray only applications in Windows, and you can build those in WinForms because you don't really care what the UI is. It's like, I don't need this fancy thing. I don't need like fancy binding. It's like, it's going to be a running program, and everybody's like, WinForms, what? That's old. I'm like, no, it's like light and easy. Exactly, WinForms type. It's like, it's one of those like, I don't know why people bash it. It's like, it doesn't matter. Like, it solves a problem. It's easy. It works. I don't need to have fancy things for small programs. So it's fun. We looked at one point at Maui on this stream, and a while back. Maui's an awesome solution, by the way. If you haven't looked at it, it is cool. We run into a couple of problems for some of the uses we have here for it, but not a huge deal. So what am I building? What do we want to do? Well, I had been planning on working on a project to essentially kind of rebuild one of our old projects. So something we worked on in the stream for a long time was our Twitch chatbot. And I had a handful of things on the backlog, two items specifically, that I kind of want to tackle with a rebuild. So when we originally built it, there was discussion of the idea that the chatbot in it could maybe work with YouTube or with Twitch. And I never did that. So I kind of want to tackle that. The other thing that we wanted to tackle was that it was specific to one game. So we built it specifically to talk to Final Fantasy VII. And part of that's because I love Final Fantasy VII. It's a great game. But there is no reason that we would have to limit ourselves to just one game if we broke that out. Now, the approaches that we could take are run the existing app and attempt to restructure it, rework it into the new application. And that can work fine. In fact, for large applications run by companies, that's usually the way I recommend that they do it, is to try to fix in place instead of full rebuilds. Because full rebuilds usually mean the like dual race where you've got like the one team moving along trying to catch up to the other team, and it's like, yeah, but the old project keeps moving forward and having changes, so you're having to constantly keep up, and there are bug fixes on it and it's distractions. Huge waste of a thing. We're a smaller application. We can kind of get away with this. That being said, it's been on my backlog for a long time to consider doing this. So with the amount of ripping it apart, I kind of want to just start with a new structure and just pull pieces in. So there's not so much, I don't have a problem too much with the old code. So that's why I'm thinking if I start with a new structure and just yank in pieces as we need them, that may be the approach to go. So quick background for anybody that doesn't know. Huge waste. Yeah, never experienced that. Exactly. Yeah, none of us has ever run into these problems in our careers before. What? Giant waste in software projects? Never. So there are definitely also some shortcuts that we took in the code in the past where it was like, well, let's get this working because we're on a stream and it's more fun to see stuff than it is necessarily to go through all the work. So I've always been on the side of, like, I've always fought the battle of I want our stream to be interesting and fun and for all of us to enjoy being here and that sort of thing, with the, well, make sure that we're writing the absolute best code we could possibly write on the stream, which obviously that one never wins because I find fun more entertaining, and I want to write good code, but I also want to have fun. So fun is why we're here, enjoyment, learning together, and just having a good time. So let's jump in. So the code we're looking at is totally incomplete, not connected to a chatbot. It is part of a rewrite, redesign, restructure, because I want to add some new functionality to it, including potentially a Twitch extension, which I have not built yet. But that's kind of the idea in my head of what I want to build. And I've broken out more layers than I want to have in the long run. Greetings, hey. And the layers are not intended to stick around. So the reason I added extra layers is I want to see which points essentially I added extra projects so that I can see where the pain point is. Because I didn't, in my mind, I'm not sure how many I want to have. I think the answer is going to be like a few. I'm thinking for within a project. So I've got a game. Let's talk about the structure here. But as I said, I'm going bigger so that I can refine later and basically merge them together. Knowing lines and deciding, do I want to keep this or do I want to merge it away? So merging between projects is simple. You just drag and drop them in and put them in a folder, and congratulations, the namespaces all line up. So the folder structure is roughly what I want, but folder and namespace structure, but number of projects is whether or not I want to draw the lines. And the lines are fairly, logical lines, not like anything else. So the essential structure that I want to have is I want to put a game inside of a folder, and then I want all the general stuff not in the folder. So these are like the basic structure of the application. So the core stuff is supposed to be the things that might get used by the individual game pieces, and the interaction, again, is going to be specifically the communication with, I should say, the communication between the chat programs and the game. So that's like the command structure. And then within a game, I currently have it broken up that like general stuff about the game is going inside of a core project, and stuff that is more about the interaction between the player and the game is in the interaction stuff. Now, when I say I'm expecting it to merge away, I think these two are going to just merge into one thing and not be separated out, essentially. So exactly. And so that's the kind of thing I'm thinking here. And then this also may merge together into like one piece still too, thinking like essentially getting to the, it's basic business logic. So we're going to keep the infrastructure separate. So there will be a project for talking to Twitch and a project for talking to YouTube, because I do want to keep those separate. So hey Strife, so one of the big changes that I want to make is in our first one, if anybody remembers the code from the original Interactive 7, I have a Twitch client application. And the Twitch client application is a library built. It's part of a library that some other people have built. They're awesome. They built a fantastic library. I love it. The problem is we were tied to Twitch. Even though we were using their interface, we're still tied to Twitch. And I kind of want to break that apart so that we can really get commands from anywhere. And I don't even necessarily want them to be a chat command being a requirement. That command, essentially, I want it to be able to come from anywhere. So it could come from either Twitch chat, YouTube chat, a Discord chat, a Slack. I don't care. It could come from a web application that's just sending us the commands as a string, right? So the command is less a message and more like, a program command, essentially. So that's sort of the idea. Oh, they were, well, they fit on my head nicely. I wonder what size you got. Exactly. Yes, Londo, you've got it. Perfect. Yep, exactly. So app requests, web requests, anything like that should be able to send us the same type of command. We shouldn't care, because and I'm okay with the structure that we get sent by another application matching the structure we use inside of like a Twitch chat, for example. I have no problem with that being the structure we use, because that structure works. Oh, well, apparently I don't have that problem. Though funny enough, I do know that my head is reasonably large, but yeah, I am definitely at the extent that these things work. Which is probably why it's just perfect for my head. I think if I went beyond that, I'd have problems, but okay, so let's write some code. So I want to get some testing in here on some of this, because we had small amounts of testing in our previous one, and I didn't really spend enough time working on it. And that's totally on me. The thought at the time was that a whole bunch of our chat in there was from the gaming side. Would usually join for these ones, and it's a little bit less interesting to watch um, programmers do unit testing than it is to watch them build code that actually does stuff. All right, so I'm going to make a unit test project inside of a testing folder. We are using, so I'm planning on using .NET 7 for this, despite the fact that it's not the long-term support one. That would be .NET 6, so I think I'd get like 6 months extra time out of .NET 6. Except that .NET 7 I know has some really nice improvements, so hence why we're using it. It does mean that we're going to have to go to .NET 8. Yes, exactly. So the fun thing is that by not unit testing, we get all these fun bugs and everything like that that we get to go search and dig for, which, I mean, come on, this is all about content, right? that was a joke. That's, you know, bugs are bad. Don't make bugs. Hang on. Is that working? Okay. Yeah. Good. Okay. Yes, exactly. Content. What? Well, I did talk about wanting this to be fun, not so, you know. Anyway, so test one. We need a couple of things. First off, I need to add in a NuGet package. And yes, I am working in Visual Studio right now, not in VS Code. We want to have fluent assertions. Browse. Fluent assertions. What? Why was I scrolled? Why was I scrolled? I wanted this one. Yeah. Oh, I know, yes. I remember that too. Yes, comment, like, and subscribe. Yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe the video and share it with all your friends. You know, that's a thing that you always heard me say on here, because I was always about doing that. I don't think I've really said that much. All right, let's say true should be true. All right, let's see if this works. Fingers crossed. Yes, true is true. Excellent. Best test ever. All right, so this will be canary. True test. This is the one true test. Yep, we're .NET 7, Stu. Yep. Exactly. And yes, I am in favor of. I'm one of the crazy people that doesn't mind keeping one of these, even just in the beginning. And one of the reasons why is when you run it right at the beginning, this is the quick confirmation that, hey, my tests are actually running. I always recommend whenever you create a test project to do this, because the number of times I've gone and the runner didn't work for some reason, it was something borked in the configuration or something like that. If this test doesn't run, then it's the runner that's broken, not the, you know, like nothing else. There's something that has gone horribly wrong. Okay, so we've got that. We have a test that is passing. Now, there is one piece of code that I really want to test. So, first things first, let's add a project reference to whichever project it's in. You know what? Let's just make a file then, because I'm going to find it without even looking for it. So I want to check the accounts. So this is an area that we always had bugs before, and I want to check it. Yep, testing the test runner. Yep. Well, yes, we're going to add the CI/CD, but the funny thing is, like, I've had people create projects in like workshops that I've done at conferences, and they go and try to run a brand new test project, and it doesn't run. And they're like, what's going on? Did I mess this up? And they wrote their first test and they tried to get it working and it doesn't work. And it's like, yeah, that's why you true first, because then you don't waste time writing a test and you just say like, yeah, okay, this is borked. There's something wrong. So, in fact, I had 2 separate people not be able to run .NET like XUnit tests at CodeMash this year. So I was at CodeMash, I ran some TDD workshops, and they couldn't even get that. Okay, so this should be this will be what balance check tests. Yeah, we'll account, and I'm going to do big name for now instead of folders because I don't know what the folder structure is going to be, so we'll rename to that later. So account balance check, bank account balance check. I think that's the name of it. We'll find out once I try to use it. Just going to steal this because I don't have a snippet that does that for me yet. All right, so we have this. True test work. Yep, true test works. All right, so now our test should be should create account. Creates account given new user. Do we underscore? We'll leave it without for now. Okay, so we need the bank account. What is it? Is it bank account? Gilbank. Sorry, wrong name. See? Told you I'd figure it out. Okay. Rename the file. We're going to create a new one of these. Ooh, can I not create it? I just need to give it a data store. Okay, that's fine. I can give it a data store. You test the test runner too, because inevitably I mess up the test runner setup. Yeah, that is absolutely a thing, and it's one good indication. So if your CI is ever failing and you're seeing all of the tests failing, including like a true, that means there's something wrong with the runner or the test, configuration generally, and not something wrong with any of your code, because it doesn't use any of your code. Whereas if there's like a fundamental problem low down in your code, that's like a core part of it, that can sometimes cause the entire thing to just fail. And so if you have one test passing, that means it's probably your code. If 0 tests are passing, it's probably the runner. So it is a nice one like that. False should be true. Test 2 just to show that the test runner can fail. Sometimes, so I do that not for the test runner itself, but for the for individual tests. I always like to make sure they fail, even if it requires that I just break it myself. But yes, I do agree. I don't usually do that for the test runner because I've never had the test runner be incapable of failing if it could pass them. But maybe that's just different. And yes, welcome everybody. It is awesome to see some of the old crew back here. Yes, I know tons of people that are still stuck on .NET Framework. In fact, I currently still work with a client that is on .NET Framework, and we've got plans for getting them off of it. But obviously, that takes time. All right, so let's add the reference so we can get our Gilbank. And now we're going to need mocking or testing or something like that. And I haven't decided which yet. So do we mock or test? Mastodon's working out great for me. I like it. It's good. It does what I need it to do. I need a stub here. All right, so we're gonna make a quick fake, because I'm not gonna add a stub just yet. This is gonna be a fake data store, and it is going to be an iData store T. Okay, yeah, there's the missing ones. Okay, so now we've got this set up so we have fake data store that is an iData store T, and all we're going to do with it for now, because we don't need it to do anything, is just that. So for now, it returns back an empty list, and saving does nothing. Now I can obviously put this into a field, and this is like the simplest fake object in the world. It's super easy to just be like, yeah, go ahead and save that as a field, and we're good, right? And then down here, we're just returning this. We could obviously set a property so we could define what return value we want, and that's like the basics for a fake. Yes, exactly. So I try to avoid mocking until we actually need it, because mocking adds a level of complexity that you don't necessarily want. Some people say, what complexity, but you wrote extra code. I'm like, I wrote ridiculously simple code, which is a big difference. Um, yeah, so one of the challenges I know you're talking about on Mastodon, for some things you don't necessarily get responses. One of the things I like is the discoverability from people that are not within my circle. So normally the responses I get, I have a lot more followers on Twitter than I do on Mastodon, so I can get a little bit of engagement by posting something on Twitter. Not a ton, but a little bit. Whereas on Mastodon, because everything is so focused on tags and not just your local circle, I find when I tag stuff with a bunch of different tags, I do start getting responses from people that I normally would never have communicated with. And that's one of the things that I like about it. Exactly. Simple code is better than complex short code. 100%. Yes. Great point. Yes. Yes. And if you're not using tags on Mastodon, then that is one of the biggest challenges. It's weird because tags used to be a thing that was super important, but all of these programs with the complex algorithms like Twitter and everything, it stopped being necessary and important to use tags. In fact, we kind of drove everybody away from using tags as a concept. But with this, they kind of need to come back. So it is a challenge. All right, so let's go ahead and say we're going to give it a new fake data store for accounts. And now we should be able to run our code. So we're going to say Gilmick. Ooh, it was check balance, not balance check. All right, I'm gonna flip it. Yeah, not that way. Check balance. There we go. Let's rename the file again. I'm gonna get that right, huh? All right. So there's what it's called. And this is a chat user. So we're going to make a new chat user. We're going to give it the username of Brendonius and the user ID. I know you are all shocked by that user ID. Everybody in chat's now saying, now, Brendan, how did you get such a fine user ID as 1234556? Well, dear viewer, the answer is I didn't, and I made that one up. That's not my user ID in any service. So I'm sorry to inform you there. What about complex long code compared to short code? Yeah, so the idea is as your code starts getting longer, more complex, yeah, you might have to make some kind of judgment call there. Yes, exactly. Yes. So 100%, especially if you're getting into stuff where, for functional programming, for example, there are a whole bunch of people that haven't done any programming outside of like the object-oriented space. And so to do any of the other paradigms of programming, you need to be very careful that you don't get complicated, especially considering that there are going to be other people that use it. So now Gilbank has account. This is the user we're going to check for. So that's our chat user. Chat user should be true. Whoops. Okay. So I'm doing a couple of things here. It is my password for everything. In fact, my password is actually password 123456 because it's very long. And 6, I don't know if people know this, but 6 is the most secure number. So that's why I do it. So I'm doing something weird here. I want to do this as a sanity check. Confirm previous didn't create. I'm worried that when I look for an account that doesn't exist, that it might create the account. So I wanna make sure that we don't run into that problem. So and all right, so perfect. So here's what happened. We said, does Brendonius have an account? And we said it was false. And then we said, he still doesn't have an account, right? You didn't make one when I checked that? False. Okay, good. And then we said, all right, let's check his balance. and I didn't even look at what the balance was. But then after that, we said it should be true, and so perfect, done. We got everything running as it was expected. So that, in theory, created our account. Now, there's a couple of things that I want to do regarding this. So, creates account given new user is fine, I think. But I want to go a little bit further on this next one, because I want to check something else. I want to confirm accesses account given existing user. Okay, so I now know that I can create this account and I don't need to do this. So I'm not going to maybe I will just sanity check here. I'll leave the 1 in place, that it doesn't exist. Because remember, we're creating a new guild bank every time. And now that we're having more than one, I may extract this out. But for now, that should be good. So this should create the account. I'm debating right now whether or not I want to create the account this way, because I've got other ways to do it. Can we put some messages in the assertion? That way we can remove the comment too. Yes. Let's say confirms previous has account created an account. Good call, thank you. Yep, good suggestion. Why does check balance create an account? It's not an obvious side effect of the action. Yeah, so this one's a weird one. I've waffled on this. So within there is a point where it should get created on checking for an account, kind of. This was actually to resolve a challenge that could come up, and the debate was, do I put this in the bank or the command? So allow me to explain. If a user wants to check their account balance, but they don't have an account, then I want to create them a default account, because clearly someone was looking for the balance of the account. Whereas checking if someone has one is not really like an account lookup. Now what we can do is put it in the command, where the command that they use checks for the account's existence. If it doesn't exist, calls the method that creates an account, and then returns back an assessment of the value. Now, the reason why we did this is because most of the time if someone wants to check the balance, that means they're trying to do some kind of an action. And that means a user probably exists and we should have an account for them. Essentially, the way this works is anybody that talks in chat, we create an account for anyway, is the concept. So, and I'll explain why. So I want to overemphasize the creation of accounts. So if any of you talk in chat and I create an account for you, because you talked in chat, I have your username and ID. If you have not talked in chat and I instead try to just do something that involves your account, let's say I'm a moderator in a channel and I say, I want to give Stu 100 gil and put that in his bank account. That's the money in the game and in our program. So if I give him 100 of these tokens, right, then at that point, all we have is his username. We don't have his user ID, because I probably typed out your username in order to send them to you. And so, because I want to make sure that we always have the accounts and they always exist, I want to overemphasize the creation of accounts. So, I sort of want that side, I would like that side effect to exist basically anywhere. If someone tries to access the account of a user, I want it created. Especially if it's got their user ID on it. Because I just want accounts to exist. Because that's a way of sort of like recording that stuff happened. So it's kind of a safety on my part in that, like, chat is not like a business to business thing. This isn't an API where I can trust all my inputs. So I'm sort of like record everything I can possibly get just so that we have it kind of mode is sort of the stance that I've got. And if I don't create you an account, then you don't have it for later. So if someone said, wanted to use a command that gave everyone money in their accounts, if I hadn't created an account for someone because they just hadn't done anything with Gil yet, then we wouldn't be able to give them money because they didn't have an account. So that's kind of why I want to like make it so that is a side effect of the method. It's a little weird, but I put it here so that it didn't accidentally not happen somewhere, if that makes sense. And it is a weird side effect, which is one reason why I want it documented by the tests. But you're right, it is a weird thing to be like, wait, checking the balance creates an account? Like, yeah, I guess I could put a name on it, but for the most part, it shouldn't be creating accounts 90% of the time. And yes, one account to rule them all. We'll give 9 accounts for the mortal men doomed to die, and 7 for the dwarf lords and their mountains or something. Hey, Stoolpenner. And, 3 for the elves, and then one for Brendonius, the... Wait a minute, I don't want to be the bad guy. It's not fun. No. Okay, so access account given existing user. Yes. Accesses account given a show. Balance equals that. Balance should be 0. Why don't I do this? And we can adjust the test as needed. So Gilbank, deposit, user, chat user, 100. So we're going to deposit 100 into his account. And let's say account had starting balance. We'll say non-zero starting balance. And this should be well, that'll be obvious. It didn't equal 100 because I can't without getting more specific, I can't know what the balance ended up being. Account existed before creation, or not a new account. That's what we'll say. Not a new account. Maybe bad data. Bad. It's a bad expectation. Bad given. Non-new account. Maybe we'll say that. Because I want to say there's something wrong with the initial expectation. I mean, going there. So you were given the 1 ring. How would it corrupt you? What? Yes. Well, they if you just want to go with Lord of the Rings and not count any of the additional stuff, they really only mentioned in the original text of Lord of the Rings, they mentioned the 9 for the men, the 7 for the dwarves, the 3 for the elves, and the 1 for Sauron. However, and Stu, if you want to change the color, you gotta hop over to the Twitch chat because it's still connected to that one. But the in some of the other works, there are a lot of other lesser rings that are mentioned in it. So it's not just that one that's set there. What did he go for? Yellow? Oops, yellow. I think that'll work. There you go. You got yellow now. Congratulations. Okay, so there are a whole bunch of lesser rings. After you You've got a broken. Okay, so that's not going well. I'm hoping you're able to get some good treatment of that, stool penner. uh, broken rib does not sound fun at all. That sounds ridiculously painful on a regular basis. That sounds like breathing hurts kind of stuff. So hopefully that's getting checked out. Take care of yourself. Whoa! We have a bug. See? This is why we're running tests. An item with the same key has already been added. Interesting. So I was not super careful when setting this up, so it is totally possible that I just borked something like crazy. I just kind of zipped these together real fast. Nope, I do not get to click and drag that. There we go. Okay, let's debug this unit test and have a look. Get painkillers and do all the right. Well, I guess that's a good thing, Stool Penner. Thoughts on the Rings of Power? There are parts I like and parts I don't like about Rings of Power. I am torn in that I am one of the weirdos that really likes the lore of Middle Earth, and so where it deviates, those are some problems. Now, some of those are out of their control because they don't have the rights to do it correctly, and then I kind of sit there and I go, well, this is their own fault if they're getting backlash because they're going for their own money grab here. And that's sort of the problem that you get in these sorts of things is, like, it's obvious that they're doing a money grab. Because they're building it at all, and they have the rights to the Lord of the Rings. They do not have the rights to all the other stuff, which is why the whole Melkor and Morgoth thing came up. I was like, what are they going to do with that? And it's like, nope, okay, they're just calling him by the other name right now. It's like, all right, sure. That wasn't his name at the time that you're doing this, and I don't want to get into spoilers on anything for anybody. So, like, that name, if you know Lord of the Rings at all, you know that name is going to come up. But it is just weird that it was there. So, and yeah, there's debate about the time frame. That's the wrong age for the halflings even to exist at all necessarily. Though Tolkien's vague on exactly their history, so you can kind of give that. Hey, greetings, welcome. Alexander, yeah, so we're finally live in one of these ones. I have not been streaming in lately at all. My schedule got totally out of whack, and then I was thinking, yeah, for 2023 I should start streaming again. And then I was at back-to-back conferences going around. So I was down in Texas for that conference, Texas, in January, and I was at in Northwest Ohio for Code Mash. So we'll see. That reminds me, someone actually brought up something that sounded amazing. So Code Mash and that conference are both conferences that are at a Kalahari, which is a water park resort in the United States. There's another conference that is also at those. There's two that conferences, a Code Mash and a Tech Bash, which is 4 conferences that all take place at Kalahari water parks in the United States, basically around the country. And someone had a cool suggestion. They suggested trying to do the Kalahari Grand Slam, which is where within a calendar year you try to speak at all 4 of the Kalahari Tech conferences, which would be Code Mash, then that conference, and then Tech Bash. So in that order, it'd be Code Mash, that conference, Texas, that conference, Wisconsin, and then Tech Bash in the Poconos in Pennsylvania, so Eastern Pennsylvania. And so that's kind of the idea, is trying to like do that within a calendar year. And so the funny thing is, not calamari, Kalahari. And so the funny thing is, what he pointed out is, he's like, you could actually do it pretty easily because the toughest one to get into is Code Mash. It's got the most speakers and most rejections. So if you miss that one year, you don't try for the rest of the year. But when you do get Code Mash, you then try to get the rest of them. And so I'm already down 2, and the call for proposals is open for that conference, Wisconsin. So if I get into that one, then I'm gonna really try to get into Tech Bash, because then I can be like, hey, I did the Kalahari Grand Slam. So It's not. It's Kalahari, not calamari. Stop it. Stop it. Uh, yes. Yes, the okay, so our conversation about Rings of Power. Yes, they kind of got wishy-washy with traveling to different places, and time frames were just thrown out of the window. Travel time was just completely ignored. So yes, if you're thinking about stuff, there are aspects of the show that are just absolutely bonkers, where like they just ignored stuff like crazy. I don't want to dig in too deeply because I'm sure there are people here that haven't watched it, and maybe someone watching in the video that hasn't watched it. So yeah. Uh, street, yeah. Uh, why does it? Do they have their Dual Pender? The answer to that is almost certainly yes. Because they, I thought they got the rights to everything Lord of the Rings for those. So I'm not 100% on that though. I don't know exactly what the rights were, but that's what I thought it was. An item with the same key has already been added, Brandonius. So we are. Oh, accounts by name. Wait a minute. Contains key. Wait. Oh, Brendan, you idiot! You messed up the simplest thing. Safe username. Safe username. This is why safe username exists, Brendan. You fool! You fool, Brendan. Username, account, username. It should just be safe username. So safe username exists because I made a thing that was like, you just want to get the username part that doesn't have the app, it doesn't have a, like in case there's any extra bits on there, it just removes it. So that's why I created that, that's why it's there, and then I didn't use it. And our test found it for me. Yay, test. Thank you for saving me. Alright. Yeah, so, I kind of enjoyed I enjoyed Rings of Power, but again, I really like the lore and everything like that. Though I have complaints. A lot of complaints. Um, they're not necessarily the complaints that most people had. I don't really like some of the, like they made a lot of changes. So that's the problem. I'm also someone that has read the books. I've got, like the Silmarillion is probably on that bookshelf behind me. I don't remember. And yeah, it can get people to read the books again, which is definitely a positive. It gets people interested, brings more people in. So it's hard to complain about that. And I'm also a reader of the Witcher series too, and that's another franchise that's been getting a lot of bad reviews lately based on some things. So I like The Witcher. It's a good series. It's good books. They've got good video games, video game adaptations of it. So it's fun stuff. I like my fantasy. It's good genre. I like my sci-fi too, obviously. So we've got that. Let's see, can we... so this is just supposed to be... let's see, doesn't just add the account, but adds username if missing. So we're going to do an account where the username is missing, so... no name. So we're going to pass in null for the name, which I think I can get away with. It's a nullable string, right? Ooh, is it not a nullable string? Or, ooh, do I? No, I always have the username. It's the user ID that I may not have. Sorry. It's the user ID that I may not have. I should always have the ads user ID if missing. I think I handle the other case, but we should always have the name, but we don't necessarily always have the ID. So if I give money to an account as a moderator and the person has never chatted, I don't have their ID. So no ID. This will be Randonius with no ID. Okay. When we check the balance, it should create it. I don't care about the balance for this. So maybe I should do this to acknowledge that there is a return of value I'm ignoring. I don't need to deposit for this one. I don't need to check the balance here, but at this point, I should be able to look up the account. So if I just say Gilbank has account, you know what? I'm going to do this check to start with. It's not that, so it should be true. So this would be account not created. However, I want to then confirm that it still does not exist based on the user ID. So we're going to say this is only ID. Or maybe this will be with ID. So let's check it with this. Can I just look up based on that value? No, I can't really. There's not an overload for that, is there? No. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we'll have that account there. Should be only with ID. And then this should be only ID, right? Because I do want one where we look up only by ID. Different. What's it gonna do with this? Is it gonna override it? What's it gonna do? Oh, I could empty string it. The ending of the Expanse was a yeah. So I've also read the Expanse series, but I stopped watching the show after like 3 seasons. I've heard it's still good. Take care, Stool Penner. Heal up nicely. Yeah, I think they are making Wheel of Time. I don't remember on that one. I thought they did. For some reason in my head they already did, but maybe I just remember seeing the production stuff and they haven't actually released it yet. Okay. So we'll do this. We're going to duplicate there. So with no ID, it should be created. And then with ID, it should add it. It should be able to find it by... Only ID and no ID should both be able to find it. Can't find by ID. Can't find by name. So either of these should work once we have created it here. So that should have added the name and these should both work. No ID and only ID. Only ID should be false. Okay, let's go ahead and check these. Let's see if we got our account balancing working right. Excellent, we have a failure. What's going on? Value can't be null. Okay, we tried to put in a null key. Excellent. Let's debug it and figure out what happened here. Let's see. Mistborn could make a good series. I don't know how they do it. There's also the Stormlight Archive could be interesting as well. Wheel of Time does seem a little bit crazy, but I think a lot of companies are looking at this and basically saying, "Oh, there's so much content. Think of all the money we could make." Well, it could be, but I kind of want it not to fail on me because if I've got a system where data's coming in from somewhere I can't control and we don't know what it is, maybe we should empty string it. Maybe there's got to be a special value there. And whether it's null or a special value makes less difference to me than whether or not it has one. So has account did a contains key on that. Ooh, yeah, it's failing here. Yeah, that is a problem. And it is correct to yell at me here. Wish they had a safe version for this. Because I don't want to empty string it either. Because what if there is an empty string key? Yeah, what is a null? Yeah, thanks. Yes. I know exactly what... I think that is what Trollocs rhymes with. This is not a key in the system. What are you doing? There. Probably longer than any username, right? Rhymes with hammocks. Yes, exactly. I don't like this way of making the test work, but let me see if this makes the test work. Cannot be null. Where? Did I do another one of those? Ah, don't do it. No, we don't need that. Stop. Ah. Debug. Goldilocks. Oh, man. It is failing hard on these null user IDs. Maybe they need to be empty string, but empty string is just a giant failure if we do that because I'm worried that it's going to create accounts under empty string. Like it's going to insert it in there and be like, yeah, that's the key. How do we get around this then? User ID. How do we handle a blank user ID? Unknown user ID. hard code that constant. But I'm worried then it's going to try to insert with that value. And I don't want that either. It won't exist. We won't have the account. Well, the problem is, so I did make it nullable. That's what it was. And the problem is, if we go that route, then when we attempt to use it, we run into the problem, because I need to check it here. And I guess I could just only do these checks if we have it. So I could do, if user ID not null, then check and see if we have it. Essentially moving this part into there. Right? But then the problem is that we then try to create it based on the user ID. I need to make this not fail when I try this. Let's do this instead. Let's do a contains key, because this might allow it. Can this take in that value? Okay, if it doesn't have the key, that would be when it was null. Then that would mean that accounts by ID user save username should get us the account. Which is what this was here. Oh, that was that. I'm sorry. And we should have the username. Username, we said, is never null. We always have username. Whoops. So that's never null. We always have this value. But this could be null. This has to be a nullable account, is what we're saying. Right? So a nullable account that we're assigning here, we're saying if it's not null, we're going to go ahead and use it. And assign the user ID if we have it. But I guess at this point it doesn't matter because we'd be setting a null value, which would be null anyway. So if it's null, we set it to null, and that's okay. But if we did have it, then we would do this. Assign it to the user ID unless the user ID is null, and then keep it the same. So as long as like, and then add it. So we're saying it was not in this list, so we do need to add it. If account does not equal null and user.user ID does not equal null, then do it. Because we know it's not null. Otherwise, create it. And we don't necessarily need to keep it at this point. So this is we found one and it just didn't have the user ID. This should have been user ID. So if accounts by ID contains the key... I love how it keeps suggesting that. That's so funny. It's trying to be smart. Okay. So we're going to say this. If account contains the key to user ID, then do that. Otherwise, create the account. This is the scenario where it has the account in the ID list. So this is accounts by ID, and we're going to get it by user ID. So this one should be here because we said that key is in here. Because we checked for ID first, and then we also said that accounts by name does not contain it, so there is no account at all, so we do need to create one. Well, we only have it in this list, so we do need to add the username and set it. So we're going to say accounts by ID, get value or default by the user ID. It should be in there, 100%, so we don't even need this anymore. Yeah, it cannot be null here. So what's the problem? What do you want to do? Oh, dictionary of empty string. Well, maybe that would, yeah, maybe that would have solved the problem the whole time. Yeah, if I'd just done this. Does it complain about that? Ah, no, there's a constraint on there that won't let me do it. That makes way more sense. I was like, thought it wouldn't let me do that, and it doesn't. So we're good. We know it has a value here. What am I doing? We checked. There is a key. If this equals null or that. It's not null there. Okay. If it's null, go in here. Otherwise, do that. Or this. There we go. That solves the problem. Now we know it's not null down here. Because the only way it made it down here is if it was not null. We can then assign the username, because we've said that it contains that username. So even if it's an empty string, which it shouldn't be, then that should work. Hey, Grumpy Game Dev, welcome. Good to have people here. Let's go ahead and do this. So we're going to have one of those two values, which means account should be down here. If user ID was not null, hang on. Else this, and then the if goes inside of here. Okay, so here's my thinking. So the previous way I had this restriction here, so it was possible to leave this loop without having set the account variable. but now we have to set it because we set it up here or down here, and we cannot get beyond that point without setting it. In here, we only need to set and resave the value if it wasn't in the list. So this is basically the ensure it was in there. I should maybe extract those into a method at some point. Yes, you're a people! Whoa! Yes, you won something, a massive celebration of your humanity. Here, we'll change the color to red, red to celebrate. The stream color will change just for you. Welcome. I don't know why I did that, but sure, welcome. Account maybe null here. Really? There, it gets assigned. It's either entered there or it else. It has to assign it. It cannot be null here. I mean, I guess I don't think either of these indexers can return a... Did I... Ooh, that's a get value or default. Okay, now it can't be null. There was one circumstance I missed. Oops. Okay, so now it definitely exists. Thank you, warnings. Visual Studio, you were right. You were right. Okay, what else is that? Color with no U. I also won getting to the prescription line at Walgreens in less than 15 minutes. Where does it say color? Guess I was confused by... I guess I don't know where it says color, but yeah. There's a great only small message about that. If you're wondering why the U.S. spells a lot of their words without that extra letter there, it's because they fought a whole war to get rid of you. That was a joke of like the American versus British English thing. Yes. There's a bunch of weirdness with that, like the small differences between US and UK English is quite funny, but I do see no reason to have the extra letter there. If any of you know, most of the programs that I write that have like color as a command written in there, so like this stuff we're working on, FF7 does accept either color or color, however we want to distinguish that in the spoken way. But either one is valid when typing that command. I was like, yeah, we'll support both. You can have the extra U or the missing U, whichever one it seems like it is to you. Solves it nicely. If that's not supposed to be able to be null, is it? So I know it's not null, but his username's not supposed to be null either. So good. So this should not be able to be null. I will agree with that and say it is not supposed to be able to be null. If you're wondering about this, this is the code that I just yanked out of the old system, and so that's why there's a little bit of weirdness with whether things are nullable and not, is because our new code we're going to respect the idea that things should not be null in most cases and try to only have explicit nullable values, and so which is a lot safer, by the way. If you just try to force it so you don't have nulls unless you expect it. So you should know when something is able to even be null. So that this one's getting checked and this one isn't is because this one is never supposed to be null. So I'm generally in favor of this. I was thrilled when this feature got announced because I was like, oh good, because if there's one thing that I think we're all tired of, it is null reference exceptions. That's true. That's true. I told a programming joke recently, and no, and to a bunch of non-programmers because I was like, "Hey, do you want to hear a programming joke?" And they said yes, and so I told them the joke. And then at the end, they didn't get the joke, so I explained the whole joke, and I was like, "It makes your jokes extra funny when you explain them to people." Yeah, yeah, great, great. The tea you dumped wasn't real tea; it was fruit tea, and we don't care about that stuff. Color is weird. Looks like it should rhyme with flower. Well, okay, if you're gonna look at pronunciation of English words, then we can just throw everything out the window because English has like four different rule sets that it's following depending on where the word came from. I mean, I could. What was the joke? What was the programmer joke? I don't even remember what the programmer joke was. What was the joke? I don't. Yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember. Someone had asked in the chat. They asked the streamer to tell a bad joke, and I was and he said he couldn't think of one. So I was like, well, I got one. Yes, the joke is now moot. The. What the heck was the joke? I should remember the joke. It was good. At least as good for programmers. If you're not a programmer, it wasn't funny. It wasn't the classic one of like 10 types of, the 1-0 types of people. It wasn't those ones. But it was. Oh yes. I remember what it was. It was why do programmers always mix up Halloween and Christmas? It's that classic one. And the reason is that Oct31 equals Des 25, and you're like, so Oct31. Let's see if it'll even send that in. There you go. That's why programmers always mix up the yeah. Ha ha. Knee slapper right there. Yeah. See, it was supposed to be a bad joke. That was the whole point. It's a bad joke. Told poorly, too. So, you're welcome. Okay. I know I'm the life of the... and the yes. And the last time that I used Octal, I mean, it's in the programmer calculator. I've accidentally used it before because I like started with a 0. It's casual. Yep, and off by 1 errors exactly. Yes, in programming there are 2 hard problems. Yes, exactly. Yes, that's what I'm talking. Yeah, see, you said when was the last time I used Octal, and I was like, not intentional, because the 0 indicating Octal is just mind-blowingly crazy as a feature. Like, it's like, what? How could you even like think that that was a good idea? That was never going to be, just oops, I accidentally used Octal and I didn't mean to. Yeah, that was gonna happen all the time. You're basically setting yourself up for failure there. All right. Okay, so that's our canary. So let's make a couple of different tests. So deposit. Let's check deposits and withdrawals. So let's make a folder of Gilbank tests. We're gonna move these into here. We'll let it rename. Yeah, move the namespace. Let's make a different test here real quick. We're gonna do one of these, and we're gonna say Gilbank account. And actually, I'm gonna remove account. We're just gonna say that was so. This is check balance. So this one is we're gonna rename it, but this one it's going to be. all. I think I spelled that right. Probably no. Let's rename this file. Rename file. I see people typing in chat. I will be there in a sec. Just hang on. Whoops. Back. Can you tell I was using some non-X unit recently? Deposit withdrawal should add money to balance. Probably ignore negative numbers would be another test that we probably have. Ignore negative numbers. Do we ignore or do we throw? I don't know. We'll have to think about this. Yes, exactly. As long as you had a 9 in there, it knows it's not octal. But the crazy part is that in interpreting and requiring a value that disproves the concept doesn't make it better. This is all just different ways of the problem existing. Ah! I can't type. All right, let's make a constructor and pull the gill bank that I'm creating each time up to here real quick. And let's make this a field. We're going to call it gill bank like that for now, because this is going to make it break, and then a rename is going to work once I do this. So that's not the permanent name. We're just doing it this way so it fixes a little bit easier. So now when I do a rename to make it read-only, there we go. All right, now it renames them all, so perfect. Let's rerun these tests. They were all green a moment ago. They should all be green. Okay, they're still green. All right, now we're over here. We're going to do the same thing. That is basically the constructor. We're just going to rename it to this new method's name. Yep, import types. New class name right there. All right, so now we've got this, and I want to say chat user. We're going to do that. So I want to say Gillbank ensure account exists for the chat user. So that's what I should be calling every time. This is Stu's complaint that I should be calling this method, because this one's not a side effect. This one implies it's side effect, I should say. Because that one is the make sure this account exists check. All right, so now we're gonna say Gillbank deposit 1, 2, 3 into whose account? Chat user's account, and then check balance of chat user should be 1, 2, 3. This should be 0 with a count add initial balance. All right, let's run our test. Take a look. Yeah, exactly. Yes, JavaScript's nice enough to just make the changes for you instead of telling you made a mistake. That is the funny thing with like, not just JavaScript, but like HTML and just web generally. It's one of those things that when I was first learning those back in the 90s was kind of like an advantage in some ways, because JavaScript and HTML were super forgiving. So like you'd make mistakes and it would just be like, I knew what you meant. And it would just work, and so it's like, okay, yeah, that kind of makes sense, and I can agree in some extent from like a web standpoint, because I think they were just trying to make it so that it would work and would run and not fail just because something had gone wrong, and they were hoping that people would still make it to the web pages. But like from a program not being bug ridden standpoint, it is kind of crazy that we just accept something was wrong, but we just moved ahead anyway. So, eh, weird place. Okay, so that technically worked. So let's go make this fail by just not adding this. So we're just going to make the test fail to confirm that it can fail. Yeah, it's fine. Everything's fine. Yeah, things are fine. It's okay. All right, cool. If I don't add the bits, the test fails, and then when I put it back, the test is going to pass again. Excellent. Good. Okay, so now we want to check negative numbers. So negative, and this should still be 0. We're gonna say I'm saying ignore now, but maybe our code does something else. I don't know. So yeah, it's still 0. Balance should not have changed. Okay. So we're ignoring negative numbers. Let's have a quick look at deposit. We did a max of this. So this is the ignore negative numbers piece here. So if I remove that, this test should now fail. Yep. I was expecting 0, but it found a negative 123. So now when I go back here and I turn that back on, this is the 0 out, essentially. So this is sort of a cheat that we did, was just set it to 0. In theory, I think we could roll over. I think we could overflow it. Though that should throw an exception, not a... I hope that never happens, but I guess I didn't log it because a user could type that in, and we don't technically protect against it. Yeah, I'm not sure what to do on that one. We'll have to come up with some kind of solution for that, because we could adjust this balance increase to max it out as like an int max, and basically say like take the minimum, basically like safety it to that. But anyway, not going to worry about it for the moment. The point is, when I run this test again, everything should go green. I hope. Good. Sorry about the Windows. That was me, not your computer. That was mine. Sorry. I made a Windows beep. That was me. I did it. Sorry, everyone. I know when I'm on your side of things and I ever hear any kind of a Windows sound that came from someone else's computer, I'm like, wait, was that yours or mine? I'm like, was that notification me? Like when you get someone's like peripheral device like disconnecting sound, like you know, like the little beeps that Windows does, and I'm like, wait, did my mouse disconnect or something? What happened? Oh, that was on their stream. Okay, never mind, that wasn't me. Jeff Blankenberg did that to me recently. He was making that sound in his stream. I was like, ah! I thought it was my computer messing it, but it was his. So, I like it when it's not my computer messing up and it's someone else's. That's much nicer. Alright, so I did deposits. Let's do with... So I was putting deposits and withdrawals together, because it feels like those can pretty much just be together and not be a problem. Because sort of what I was... My thinking was that I can't really do withdrawals without deposits first, just because of the way it's set up, because I didn't want to make like a whole bunch of fake data. So, yeah. Remove money from balance. So in order to withdraw, I have to deposit it first. So, at which point, these tests are really just going to become one test that does both. I just called it withdraw. Well, that also works. Rename the file, please. There we go. Alright, so we're then going to withdraw an amount of money that is going to be 10. No, 24. So we're going to look for 99. So we put in 123, we're going to remove 24, and we're expecting to have 99 at the end. And this test is going to go green, and that's fine. And then we're going to go into here and we're going to go ahead and comment out the line that actually does the task. We're going to run it again. Math is hard. And then it's going to fail because we expected 99, but we got 123 because this withdrawal didn't happen at all. Now we're going to put it back. So remember, if you are doing any kind of unit testing or integration testing, functional testing, UI testing, please make sure your test can fail. It's just a good idea. You don't have to every time, but it's better to check than not. Okay, so Rails put my what else do we want to check about withdrawals? Can't we can do the negative check here. So that's depositing a negative number. Let's deposit 100. And then attempt to withdraw negative 100. And it should be. That should work, right? Deposit that, withdraw that, yeah. Let's see. Okay, everything's green. So now in a withdraw, when it's a negative, I should have had a bits less than 0. This is it. Let's try running it again. Now it should fail. Yeah. But found 200. Haha! I withdrew negative numbers. My infinite money scheme is now complete. So that's one of the tricks, is you can get yourself infinite money if you just allow a withdrawal of negatives. Haha. Haha ha ha. Alright, so what do we got? We got access the account, grab that, get the requires balance. Ooh. Yeah, I've got special stuff on there. Yes, exactly. This is one of the big problems with the concepts of moving money around, is that when money is just an entirely arbitrary just number stored in a database somewhere, it's kind of a scary concept, because you really have to trust that nothing is going wrong with that code. Because, yeah. Hence why we're starting with tests on the money handling thing. Because as soon as we wire up the chat front end of this, you will want to have the GIL, the money in the game, actually held correctly. Which I think it all works, but again, it's a good idea to check. So, let's see. So we check the negatives there. What else do we want to check? If you're trying to take out more money than the account has. Let's say this. Empties account if withdraw more than balance. So we're going to create a user, ensure its account exists. We're going to check its balance as 0. We're going to deposit We're going to deposit 10. We're not going to check the balance. We're going to assume that that balance went in there because the other test would fail. We're then going to withdraw 100, and the balance should be 0. Which I guess, you know, I can check the balance here and confirm that it's 10, and then turns into 0 there. Okay. So it should be 10, and then it was 0. So we zeroed out by withdrawing more than we had. Now here's the here's the other trick. We should be able to do this. What is the return of this? Balance and withdrawn. Balance and withdrawn. Okay, so we now have these values, balance and withdrawn, that we can check. And we can say balance should be 0, and withdrawn should be 10. Right? Perfect. Okay, so it is returning back the correct amounts to us. So it's essentially telling us what's the new balance as a result, and then also how much did we actually pull out. So this is a way of draining the account entirely. And then does nothing. Can require money before withdrawing. Can require money to withdraw. Essentially requiring that the balance be there. So we're going to say withdrawn is 0. Balance should be 10. Check balance should be 10. And then withdraw, this is true. So we are going to require this time, which means this is going to fail to withdraw anything. The balance should remain at 10, and the withdrawn should be 0. Perfect. That's working exactly the way that we expected it to. So, yay. Okay. I am pretty happy with how that works at this point. That seems to do what we want it to do. I haven't been checking saving the data at all yet. That is going to be a separate thing. I may do like a functional test that confirms that the saving functionality generally happens across the board, as well as an individual check of the data store code that we've got. I don't have the value of that yet, so I don't really want to test that. Okay. Let's go ahead and get this committed then. So what do we have here? What did we do? So we are adding unit tests for the Gill Bank mostly. I know there's a couple that are not part of that, but it's mostly this. Unit testing the Gill Bank. And yes, I'm sending it straight to main, because We barely have anything here. This is initial structure of the application, which I usually put straight there. Um, and then once I get working, once I've got like the basic structure, because again, this was just adding the unit test class. I usually don't separate that out as a separate thing, but then I'll start branching out. We'll do general PRs with this. Let's see if we can get a basic build and a unit test added in here. Which I should be able to do a simple GitHub action for. We may have already, so hang on. Let me see what I've got today. I have this, which was created a while back, and is not probably what we actually want here. So I know this is updated to at least 3, if not 4. Get out of here. All right. So on pushes and pull requests into the main branch. We'll just call this .NET build for now. Actions, setup. I don't think I need these anymore. I think it just, because they added into the, Ubuntu latest that they run GitHub Actions on now has, .NET 7 installed by default. So we'll do it, yeah, we can manually do a restore on, I don't really want to do source necessarily. I guess I can. We'll do a full build with no restore on there as well. And then a .NET test on the source folder. I wonder if that's going to find anything. I don't know that that's going to find anything. This may not get anything because it may not know. I'm not sure if that's going to find the test project or not. Either way, let's commit these changes. I'm just going to call this clean up the .NET build. The build action. It should run on Ubuntu, I think. I don't think we've got anything here that's not going to. It should be, so it's been told the source folder, it should be able to figure out that the source folder means to run the it wants to confirm, hang on. Because when you change the GitHub action, GitHub desktop says, hey, that's a dangerous thing to just be doing from here. Where's your encryption? A bank without storing encrypted values? Yeah, exactly. Don't worry, Lewis. The data in this bank is going to be stored in plain text in a text file. And if you're wondering why I'm doing a text file, it's that, well, if it's not a text file, it'll be SQLite. But the reason is that a lot of streaming programs, a lot of applications that people use, know how to read and work with text files. So if someone wanted to add something that could read our data and potentially adjust it, tweak it, alter it, yeah, exactly. So they tend to just get started with that. So it's not really like, we try not to, exactly, yes, as Martin's mentioned, like the equivalent of, it's basically a CSV kind of thing, because you don't need anything more than that, and that's what the other programs are able to read. So there are a lot of chatbots and other things like that that people have that can read basic CSV files and work with them within their scripting. And so because everything else is using that, if the data is not something that needs to be secured, like a username is like very, very public data. If you enter a stream, you are not anonymous. Like, there is no way to be anonymous on a comment on a Twitch or a YouTube chat, for example. So your username goes through. So if you chat in there, you sort of did do that. Now the question that does arise from that is like, oh no, you're storing someone's information, which yes, does run into some potential issues. So a streamer running this probably does want to tell people that, hey, I'm running a program that's going to record basic data. It's probably a good idea to mention that. All right, let me have a look at my actions and see what is happening. Oh, it failed. Why did it fail? Restore dependencies failed. Why did restore dependencies fail? Oh, that's why it failed. Okay. Because I have some old projects in here. That's why. Because when I started this, I was planning on doing something else. Do I have anything of any importance in here at all? Okay, so this thing is completely worthless. So I'm going to get rid of it. Buy game controller. Anything in here of any importance at all? No, I don't think so. Bye-bye. Bye. Have fun storming the castle. Bye. Does it still build? Good. Let me do a rebuild just in case. Because I'm a coward and I believe in doing rebuilds because I don't trust stuff. Alright. Ooh. Was the other one not in there? I got rid of 2 sites, I thought. Wait. Oh, there it goes. Hang on, I think it just went away. So it was out of here, but I don't think it was out of there yet. There we go. So that's just public site. That's game controller. Removing old projects. Bye-bye, old projects. Bye. You're in source control still. That's correct. You should not have confessed to any of those crimes on the YouTube chat. That was a bad idea. I'm sure that law enforcement, wherever you are in the world, is on their way now. That was a joke. I don't think anybody is going to be looking at my chat. So even if you did confess to a crime in here, I have a feeling no one will notice or care. Come on, project. And if you are wondering, green! It built! It worked! Yay! Our simple thing. Did it run any tests? That's the question. Did it find the test project? It found it, and it ran 9 tests! Yay! It found the project and ran the tests. Excellent. We have a project that builds and runs with CI. Yay! Excellent. Well, I would say on that note, we have our project building. We've got some unit tests. We've cleared out some of our old cruft because I did start building this project probably years ago. I don't remember exactly when I did. We used to work on FF7 back. It was one of the early projects on our stream. So if you are new here, my name is Brendan. We used to stream on Twitch. I still will be streaming on Twitch. I'm not going exclusive to YouTube yet. We started streaming around like the early 2018, so it's been 5 years now, over 5 years, because that we would have started. And we did a whole bunch of streams for the first 2 years, tons of streaming. I was streaming like 3 days a week regularly. I was scheduled for 4, but I usually only did 3 of them. And then I pretty much stopped streaming. And just kind of disappeared, and came back every once in a while. But I love seeing all of you here. It is fantastic to still have the community showing up. So thank you so much for continuing to be here and chat with me and have fun. There are some other side projects that I am thinking about working on that we'll see if we get to. Awesome thing for everybody to know, I have still been talking with Guy Royce, and we still do want to do some of our old projects. And I was talking with Jeff Blankenberg at a conference as well, and he and I have a side project that we are planning on working on as well. So hopefully we can get some of those pairing sessions going. I will keep everybody apprised of that. And if you have not yet, be sure to join our Discord. I don't think I've got. Well, do I have the bot? Hang on. Do I have the bot running? Socials. No, I can't type. If you're not in our Discord, maybe that'll work. I have no idea if that works. Nope, it didn't work. I was hoping the Stream Elements bot would have responded, but it didn't. I think I've got it configured to do that, but maybe not. Either way, you can probably find links down below or up in the channel description. Hit the like and subscribe button. I think people say to do that. I don't know. I've never been on this service before streaming, really. But either way, I'm hoping that I will be back in a shorter time, maybe later this week or next week. So if you enjoyed this stream, then I hope to see you at our next one. Follow me on all the places and things, and you'll be able to get notified, because I try to shout when I go live. But either way, notifications are the best thing, and I will see you all next time. Have a great one. Happy coding, everyone. Bye.